Question number 8, Darien Fenton.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Labour. What factors are taken into account in considering the minimum wage increase for New Zealand's lowest paid workers?
There's some Minister, the Honourable Tony Ryle.
On behalf of the Minister of Labour, I'm advised that the same factors will be taken into account in considering the minimum wage, as has been in the past 2 years. These include changes in the labour cost index, inflation, wage rates, general labour market activity and the wider economic environment, to name a few. Also considered will be official Department of Labour advice that to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour immediately would destroy up to 6,000 much-needed jobs.
Darien Fenton.
To the Minister, should the review take into account the fact that the Prime Minister has admitted he couldn't live on the minimum wage, yet Josefina Masoi, who cleans his office, is struggling to support her family of 4 on just $13.50 an hour?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Yes, Mr Speaker, I'm sure all members in the House would say that those who clean our offices work very, very hard, and we're certainly appreciative of that. And this is one of the reasons why the government is focusing on a growing and building a strong, growing economy. Because a strong, growing economy will give all New Zealanders the opportunity to benefit in higher wages. And as the member knows, 8 of the last 9 quarters have seen growth in the New Zealand economy.
Darien Fenton.
To the Minister, does she agree with the Prime Minister John Key when he said yesterday that, quote, the pay of cleaners is an employment matter, close quote, and has she not told him he could improve the pay of cleaners like Jane Ikoiri, who cleans her office, by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour, yes, she does agree with the Prime Minister, as all ministers do. And what I can say is that under this government's stewardship, the New Zealand economy has grown 8 out of the last 9 quarters, when the world has been experiencing the most difficult of economic times. And this government remains determined to focus on what is important, and that is a strong, growing economy.
Darien Fenton.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, does she support our parliamentary cleaners being paid a minimum wage of $15 an hour? And if so, will she commit to increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour for all workers should her government be re-elected?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
On behalf of the Minister of Labour, the Minister of Labour is not responsible for the pay rates that the cleaners are being paid for. What the Minister of Labour is responsible for is being part of a government that is determined to have a strong, growing economy in New Zealand, which means good investment in infrastructure, lower taxes to reward people who work hard, and making sure that red tape and bureaucracy is minimised.
Order. Just before I call the Honourable Member, the questioner did actually ask whether the Minister would commit to a $15 minimum wage, and I don't believe there was much else in the question apart from referring that to a particular worker. And while the Minister may not be able to commit to that, it would have been helpful to mention it in the answer. The Honourable Tony Ryle.
On behalf of the Minister of Labour, there were 2 questions asked in that question, and in the previous answer addressed the first question. With respect to the second matter, the Minister of Labour's view would be that a strong, growing economy is very important to the New Zealand economy because that provides opportunities for workers to have higher pay rates. Right now, this is a Minister of Labour who has increased the average, the minimum wage every year, and I'm sure in further considerations the Minister will be consistent.
The Honourable Rick Barker.
To the Minister, does the Minister accept the fact that Parliament's cleaners are being paid the rock-bottom minimum wage, cleaning offices of those on high and some skyscraper-high salaries, demonstrates that the current bargaining arrangements are unbalanced and unfair, and the government's regime seems to be consistent with the Old Testament, which says, to those who hath, more shall be given?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour, no, I'm sure she doesn't agree with the tenor of that question, and I'm sure she also doesn't agree and probably can't put together the policy of the Labour opposition, what was announced yesterday, that the minimum wage should be permanently set at 60% of the average wage.
The Honourable Rick Barker.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister, will the Minister...
Order.
Will the Minister act to resolve the imbalance in the bargaining relationship between Parliament's cleaners and Parliament? Because every Kiwi knows that in a contest between an individual and Parliament, Parliament will win every time, and that this is unfair to the Parliament's cleaners who are paid less than those who clean in schools, paid less than those who are clean in hospitals, and if not, why won't the Minister act to fix this injustice?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour, the Minister of Labour is not party to the discussions or the negotiation over those staff members' wages. That member would be better off taking his concerns to the people who do the negotiations. The fact is that this Minister of Labour is focused on what will benefit all New Zealand, and that is a strong, growing economy. What will put that all at risk is any potential that that failed party opposite could ever run this country again.
Order. The Honourable Rick Barker.
To the Minister, does the Minister agree with Dr Martin Luther King that it is always the right time to do the right thing, and giving our hard-working cleaners a pay rise is the right thing to do, and now is the right time to follow the Prime Minister's lead, and will the Minister, quote, talk to someone important enough to see whether or not it can happen?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour, yes, I do agree with Dr Martin Luther King. It's always the right time to do the right thing, and I know on the 26th of November, New Zealanders will do the right thing with the right party, and that's this party on this side of the House.
Question number 9, Tim McIndoe. Tim McIndoe, question number 9.